Ethan's hands trembled as the old laptop screen flickered back to life. Richard Hawthorne looked directly into the camera. "Ethan, if you're watching this, then I failed to protect you. I knew they would come for you. I just prayed it wouldn't happen this soon." Ethan leaned closer, unable to look away. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Richard took a slow breath. "The company they think they stole was never theirs to begin with." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" Richard picked up a thick folder. 25 years ago, I discovered someone inside our family was stealing from the company. I spent years investigating. I trusted no one, not even my own wife." Ethan's eyes widened. "Mom," Richard nodded sadly, "the evidence is beside you." Ethan reached for the sealed envelope and tore it open. Inside were financial records, secret contracts, property transfers, bank statements, and old photographs. Every document pointed to the same person, Margaret Hawthorne. Ethan's breathing became heavy. "No, this can't be true," Richard continued. "I wish it wasn't true, son. But she didn't act alone. Mason knew everything. They've been draining company money for years. They believed I would never find out. But I did." Ethan stared at the evidence spread across the table. "My own family." Richard looked directly into the camera. "If they removed you from the company, it's because they know what happens next." Ethan slowly looked back at the screen. "What happens next?" Richard gave a faint smile. "They only own the building. I own the business." Ethan frowned. "How?" Richard answered calmly. "Every patent, every trademark, every international contract. They're all held under Hawthorne Legacy Holdings. They don't even know that company exists. I created it 20 years ago. The documents transferring ownership are hidden inside the flash drive. The moment you activate those files, everything Mason believes he owns will disappear." A tear rolled down Ethan's cheek. "You planned all of this?" Richard nodded. "I hoped I'd never have to." The video ended. Ethan sat in silence for several moments. Then he inserted another file from the flash drive. A secured digital vault opened. Hundreds of confidential files appeared on the screen. Illegal transactions, forged signatures, offshore accounts, secret payments, hidden agreements. Every piece of evidence Richard had collected over 25 years. The warehouse doors slowly creaked open. Mr. Collins stepped inside. "I wondered how long it would take." Ethan looked up. "You knew?" Mr. Collins nodded. "For years. I wasn't just the janitor. I was your father's closest friend. He trusted me with everything." Ethan looked back at the laptop. "So what do I do now?" Mr. Collins smiled gently. "You finish what your father started." Across town, the executive boardroom at Hawthorne Industries was filled with applause. Mason stood proudly at the head of the table. A board member raised a glass. "Congratulations, Mr. Hawthorne. The company is finally yours." Mason smiled confidently. "It's exactly where it belongs." The celebration was interrupted when the chief legal officer rushed into the room, carrying a tablet. His face had turned pale. "Sir, we have a serious problem." Mason frowned. "What is it?" "Our international partners have suspended every major contract." The room fell silent. "What?" "The patents. The trademarks. They're no longer registered under Hawthorne Industries." Mason laughed nervously. "That's impossible." The lawyer placed the tablet on the table. "They were transferred legally. Years ago." One director whispered, "If we don't own the patents, we don't own the products." Another director shook his head. "We could lose everything." Mason slammed both hands onto the conference table. "Find whoever did this. I don't care what it costs." The next morning, every major news network interrupted its regular programming. Breaking news. Hawthorne Industries under federal investigation. Executives accused of corporate fraud. Billions of dollars in hidden assets uncovered. Outside company headquarters, reporters crowded the entrance. Police vehicles lined the street. Federal investigators entered the building carrying evidence boxes. Employees watched in stunned silence. Inside his office, Mason stared helplessly through the glass walls. The same security guards who had escorted Ethan out the previous day now approached Mason. "Mr. Mason Hawthorne, you are under arrest for financial fraud, conspiracy, and corporate theft." Mason stepped backward. "You can't do this." One federal agent replied, "We have more than enough evidence." Handcuffs closed around Mason's wrists. As he was escorted toward the lobby, he stopped. Standing there was Ethan. Calm, silent, confident. Their eyes met. Mason spoke first. "You planned this." Ethan slowly shook his head. "No, My father did. Mason lowered his head as he was led outside. Hours later, Ethan unlocked Richard Hawthorne's private office. Everything remained exactly as his father had left it. On the desk sat one final envelope. His name was written across the front. He opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter. My dear son, a business can always be rebuilt. Money can always be earned again. But character is priceless. Never fight to become the richest man in the room. Fight to become the man people trust when everything else falls apart. If you're reading this, then you've already become that man. I'm proud of you. Love, Dad. Ethan folded the letter and looked out across the city skyline. For the first time since his father's death, he understood what Richard had been protecting all those years. The Hawthorne empire had never been built on money. It had been built on integrity. And at last, justice had prevailed.